Please welcome newly appointed United Nations Messenger of Peace, Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio.
We are seeing extreme weather events and the West Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets melting at unprecedented rates, decades ahead of scientific projections. None of this is rhetoric, and none of it is hysteria. It is fact. The scientific community knows it, industry knows it, governments know it, even the United States military knows it. The chief of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Command, Admiral Samuel Locklear, recently said that climate change is our single greatest security threat. My friends, this body, perhaps more than any other gathering in human history, now faces this difficult but achievable task. You can make history, or you will be vilified by it. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics, it is a question of our own survival. This is the most urgent of times and the most urgent of messages. Honored delegates, leaders of the world, I pretend for a living, but you do not. The people made their voices heard on Sunday around the world, and the momentum will not stop. But now it is your turn. The time to answer humankind's greatest challenge is now. We beg of you to face it with courage and honesty. Thank you.
Io non sono sicuro, ma posso dirle che adesso o mai. Ma dalla prima, che credo che è stata a Tokyo, no? Adesso si è fatto poca cosa. E ogni anno i problemi sono più gravi, ma siamo al limite di un suicidio, per dire una parola forte.
Although climate change is included in the SDGs, the latest report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, I think, invites a reprioritization. It implies that climate change is now a planetary emergency posing an existential threat to humanity. The climate chaos we face is nature's answer to our hubris that we could think we could expand forever. A systemic redesign of our banking and corporate systems is long overdue. Until now, people in senior roles have preferred less awkward explanations for our many problems. But I think that complacency is becoming a grave threat to life on Earth. We now know that many self-reinforcing feedbacks have begun to further warm our planet, threatening to take the future out of our hands. So if we don't wake up from our delusions of what is really pragmatic and appropriate, then shame on us.
Es una cuestión de supervivencia. Así enfoca el secretario general de la ONU la lucha contra el cambio climático. Ban Ki-moon ha recordado en Davos que las señales de fatiga que envía el planeta son inequívocas.
Les pido que den el ejemplo. Debemos reducir las emisiones. Necesitamos acciones por todos en todas partes. Emisiones en cualquier lugar afectan a todos los países, ricos y pobres. Levanten sus voces. No existe un plan B porque no existe un planeta B.
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale. Our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out. Leaders of the world, you must lead. The continuation of our civilizations and the natural world upon which we depend is in your hands.
El hielo del Ártico se derrite.
tardemos en reducir el carbono de la atmósfera,
más desastrosas serán las consecuencias del cambio climático.
Muchas personas perderán sus medios de vida y sus empleos.
No habrá empleos en un planeta muerto.
El modelo económico actual es absolutamente insostenible.
Consumimos productos que vienen de la otra parte del mundo.
Su transporte aumenta la contaminación mundial.
estamos en una encrucijada.
Y tenemos que salir de ella.
No tenemos más tiempo. Que no te engañen. Tenemos que actuar ya.
¡Ya!
The world scientists warning to humanity, a very, very powerful framing for what we face. But there were two of them. First, in 1992, the Union of Concerned Scientists in America issued a warning, published a manifesto signed by 1,700 scientists, including, I believe, over half of the then living Nobel Prize laureates at that time. Did we change? Well, not very much happened. Fast forward 25 years later, late 2017, propelled by one particular scientist, an ecologist from the Oregon State University, Bill Ripple. With that concern, he assembled a small group of scientists to write a peer-reviewed article this time. The World Scientists Warning to Humanity, Second Notice. Very powerful. I think they should have called it Final Notice, but this leaves room for yet another warning, because humanity has to be shaken many times before we wake up. At publication, it had been signed by over 15,000 scientists from around the world. Another 8,000 have signed since then. When I came across it, I spoke with Bill Ripple and I said, you left out one very important group, stakeholder group. He said, oh, what was that? I said, the public. You have no way for the public to get involved.
And I actually brought us can I get a close-up of this from the cameraman? This was created by a friend in Sweden who I met, who actually is the cellist for Greta's mother. And it's my way of joining the climate strike. I stopped working for money about 10 years ago, and I've worked for the climate ever since. This is my statement.
Around the year 2030, 10 years, 259 days and 10 hours away from now, we will be in a position where we set off an irreversible chain reaction that will most likely lead to the end of our civilization as we know it. Furthermore, do these calculations not include unforeseen tipping points and feedback loops, like the extremely powerful methane gas escaping from rapidly thawing Arctic permafrost? Nor do they include already locked-in warming hidden by air pollution. We must also bear in mind that these are just calculations, estimations. That means that these points of no return may occur a bit sooner or later than that. No one can know for sure. We can, however, be certain that they will occur approximately in these time frames. Because these calculations are not opinions or wild guesses. These projections are backed up by scientific facts, concluded by all nations through the IPCC. Nearly every major national scientific body around the world unreservedly supports the work and findings of the IPCC. We are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction, and the extinction rate is up to 10,000 times faster than what is considered normal, with up to 200 species becoming extinct every single day. Erosion of fertile topsoil, deforestation of our great forests, toxic air pollution, loss of insects and wildlife, the acidification of our oceans. These are all disastrous trends being accelerated by a way of life that we, here in our financially fortunate part of the world, see as our right to simply carry on. You cannot ignore the scientists, or the science, or the millions of school striking children who are school striking for the right to a future. I beg you, please do not fail on this.
Denigration of science. Stop giving power to people who don't believe in science, or worse than that, pretend they don't believe in science for their own self-interest. They know who they are. We know who they are. We are all, rich or poor, powerful or powerless. We will all suffer the effects of climate change and ecosystem destruction, and we are facing what is quickly becoming the greatest moral crisis of our time. Our climate goals will remain out of reach, and we will be shit out of time. If we don't stop the destruction of our natural world, nothing else will matter. If we are to survive on this planet, the only home any of us will ever know, we need nature. Now, more than ever. Because nature doesn't need people. People need nature.